Hello, my name is Edith Roman, and this is my collaboration reflection. I will be referencing information learned from the IRIS Module 2, specifically the recording of Luz Hernandez, the mother of a child with disabilities, and the video from our learning materials, Listen to your Mother, What It Means to Have a Special Needs Child. I will also express how I have used Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, in my time as a student teacher. First, I want to begin by speaking on the empathy that I have begun to build for the families of the students I am now teaching and for the students themselves. If I am completely honest, I did have a preconceived notion that parents that didn't attend conferences or school events were doing so by choice. Maybe some of them simply didn't care. Similarly, I wondered why some students didn't put effort into their schoolwork. Why do they just put their heads down in class? Why, when prompted, do they just insist they don't know the answer to my questions? Are these students lazy, unwilling to learn, or are they just testing me? Little by little, I have been discovering the answers to these questions. From parent testimony like that of Luz Hernandez in the IRIS module, it is evident that some parents with children with disabilities are not only overwhelmed by the responsibilities they have, but are drowning in them. Then to hear stories like the one shared in the Listen to Your Mother, What It Means to Have a Special Needs Child video would leave anyone that had any one of those judgmental thoughts spinning from the obvious overwhelming love these mothers and families have for their child. Unfortunately, so many families are judged because of these preconceived notions, like the ones I had. Now, after hearing some of the backgrounds of these families from my mentor teacher and my ongoing learning about the struggles of other families from my ASU classes, I need to continue to learn the right questions to ask. Instead of asking if these families don't care, I should be asking what might be keeping them. Instead of wondering why they don't check their child's homework, I should wonder if there is an obstacle for them. Do they work nights? Can they read and write? Most importantly, after any question, I should be asking myself, is there a way I can help? How can I facilitate? How can I help this parent without offending them? I should find ways to make communication easy and efficient. I should learn ways to build trust with these families. When it comes to students, I have been learning more and more every day with them as well. Students have different ways of learning and processing. With a student that always used to put his head down, now I know that he is not tuning out. He's thinking. It always takes him a little longer to complete an assignment, but I have learned to let him take his time, and all I do is check in with him in case he needs support. For the student that I thought had no interest in learning because he always only grunts to questions, well, that one I'm still working on figuring out with my mentor teacher, but so far we've discovered that he works well alone. The point is, without knowing, I was applying Universal Design for Learning. Because everyone was new to me and I had the opportunity to observe my mentor teacher and the students the first week I was there, I was able to have a different point of view and an outsider's perspective. I picked up on some of the students' behavior and paid attention to how they participated. Later, I told my mentor teacher my observations and she asked me what things I would change or implement. I suggested giving the grunting student readings about wolves. He had shared with us that was one of his interests. This increased his engagement and participation in reading and answering questions related to the material. I also told her I observed that he worked more when we gave him some space to work. We tested the theory twice and discovered that he did work more diligently and even asked for help once. Now, as I continue to learn more about UDL, I can begin to think on how I can put into practice the other two steps of UDL: action and expression and engagement of students. One of the concerns my mentor teacher has is on finding ways to get her students to write more and develop their writing skills. I remembered from my writing class last year that we had writing notebooks we worked on for a few minutes before each class. Our writing was jump started with a simple writing prompt. I told my mentor teacher about this and she said she was willing to try anything I suggested. I still have to show her how it worked exactly, and we'll need to figure out how we will implement it, but I'm excited to be able to have the students, one, work on their writing, two, allow them an outlet to express themselves and or let out their creativity, And 3, hopefully pique their interest while showing them that writing is not as scary as they think. I feel that I'm running a little long, so now I'm going to jump into my reflection on how I will be collaborating with different people. I am very surprised of how much of a community is built inside of a school. Particularly as a SPED teacher, I can tell that it is something that is crucial to being successful. Collaborations and communication are a constant for SPED teachers. I think that within the first week, I saw my mentor teacher in constant communication with parents, the other SPED teacher, gen ed teachers, principals, counselors, the school psychologist, students, the district head of the special ed program, the speech teacher, and in working in an IEP, she was even in contact with the Phoenix State School for the Deaf. To conclude, my 2 biggest takeaways so far in the student teaching placement and my learning so far have been to not judge parents or students, instead become a resource and support for them, and secondly, to build a good supportive school community around myself. I really think that will be an important key to my success in education, but more so in special education. Thank you for listening to my reflection and my thoughts on team collaboration.